Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we'll be looking into an anime that is currently airing now this summer 2022 season, which, if you haven't guessed from the title of today's video, it's regarding the original production from Studio A1 Pictures called Lycoris Recoil, and we'll be giving our initial thoughts and maybe predictions of the show. To keep the synopsis short, Lycoris Recoil centers around the covert Japanese defense force, known as the Lycoris, comprised of highly skilled high school girls trained meticulously for anti-terrorism operations and homeland security. When the stoic and calculated Lycoris agent Takina Inoue takes matters into her own hands and disobeys direct orders in a gun deal breakup operation gone wrong, she is banished from the Lycoris ranks and demoted to, quote-by-quote, civilian duties, operating out of a cafe ran by oddballs of the Japanese Defense Forces ranks. Upon arriving, Takina meets opposite personality and highly skilled combatant Chisato Nishikigi, with whom Takina partners to keep the streets of Tokyo safe. As the show develops and the two grow closer, a greater threat to the Lycoris and all of Japan begins to unveil itself. In which we are only 4 episodes in at the time we wrote this script, so we'll only give initial thoughts towards this show, our current observations, and predictions as how it will go. Personally, we thought that the show was pretty solid so far. At first, we weren't really expecting much based off the descriptions given before the season started, but after the first couple of episodes released, it began to look more and more promising. The character dynamic between Chisato and Takina are definitely a strong part towards our enjoyment, and noticing the small little moments of Yuri bait forever hold us interested in how much further they'll go towards their developing friendship. Now with that being said, these said moments offer us some insight and predictions towards how the rest of the show will play out. Now here are some of the notes we have gotten so far. Chisato and Takina's relationship, though, while it's cute, does have its road bumps, as they only just met each other and are still learning about each other. While the fan artists seem to agree that the relationship is predictably complete, there are some interesting observations regarding their relationship to be made within these first episodes. For example, in the 3rd episode, a good example of their improving relationship attributes to the train scenes, where at the beginning it seems to be dark and rainy, and Chisato and Takina are separated, although they're facing each other, while at the end there's a big contrast to the rainy setting from before, while now they're sitting together against a nice clear sunset. In episode 4, there's also another little detail we saw as potentially being assigned to a major plot twist in the future of the show. In the cafe scene where Chisato and Takina go shopping for clothes, the shot is carefully placed as to having the back of the waiter's apron appear as an X between Chisato and Takina, possibly symbolizing something, maybe one of the two things that we theorize. We think that it either simply represents another Yuri bait moment of Chisato and Takina, or maybe the X having a darker meaning that we'll explain in detail here. We think that Takina possibly could be eliminating Chisato later in the show. Why we think that Takina is the one taking Chisato out is simply due to the fact that one of the show's promotional art, which is alongside the first episode's bumpers, features Takina holding up a gun to Chisato. Whether this will happen is solely dependent, though, on what type of secret's being held up to the viewer, and we'll have to see if this holds true in the upcoming episodes. However, this idea could further be strengthened still with this little moment in the 2nd episode where Takina is seen holding up a rubber band gun towards Chisato. The show's interesting directing technique has us to believe that in case this happens again, it might not turn out the way we'd want it to. Another interesting thing we saw was in the 4th episode, in the aquarium, where this one interesting shot came up as well after Chisato and Takina do the little quick fish dances. This clear plastic cup that Takina was using becomes a main contrast between the two in this continuous shot, with the straw intentionally splicing the two away. This phenomenon happens earlier in the episode when they're sitting near a big aquarium, with the bubbles and the separation of the rocks representing what could possibly be a split between both Chisato and Takina. It could very well mean something ominous is expected to happen in the future of the show, at least with how each character behaves towards each other, given a little inference how things could go. Maybe it's possible that the plot twist happens towards the end and we're expected to believe things go well for the next few episodes. I mean, who knows? Also, another little side note, but an interesting observation I've noticed was how the animators managed to insert a red Lexus LFA as the supercar that Chisato is excited about in the second episode. Not only was that an extreme surprise to me, I mean, personally, they could have chose any other newer car, let alone one that could subjectively be favored by others more. I still found it a bit coincidental, at least of that nature, to choose a car of how Chisato is as a person. In short, the LFA was a car that was developed out of Toyota's exit from F1 as a need to revitalize the Toyota Lexus brand with an extravagant and exciting car that gave its driver a unique experience to any other supercar on the road. I mean, it's meant to be a loud and playful car.
But the best thing is the noise. It sounds baleful, it sounds like a wild animal that's sad about something.
Much to how Chisato's personality fits in with it very well. I mean, not to mention its red color. At the end of the day, I found it interesting that the animators chose the LFA during that scene specifically. So overall, it wouldn't be without saying that this show is most likely the most popular during the summer 2022 season, with a fairly standard line of shows including Made in Abyss Season 2, Lycoris Recoil is a show that shouldn't be slept on, at least right now. And we're sure that there's going to be more and more interesting moments and a lot more Yuri bait holding us as the future awaits. We do have pretty good hopes for this show being very popular, and with a doubt, we always await for what could happen next. I have yet to see a real model. I know they're real, but they're just so